Mahomes paints another masterpiece, but will he finally meet his match against San Francisco? And did you see who Tom Brady was hanging with at the fight Saturday night? You'll hear from him about his next move as we get up with you on a Monday from New York. Delighted to have you with us as we have all of the different teams represented here. We got special teams, we got defense, and we got our offensive coordinator.
Hey, take the job, Dan.
Who is here.
Take the job.
All of that off of certainly a fascinating championship Sunday, and let's go directly to Kansas City, where the stars were out in the AFC game. Could Tennessee continue its miracle run, or would that man be too much? Patrick Mahomes ready to go in his third year, trying to get his team to his first Super Bowl. But Derrick Henry stood in the way on the Wildcat early.
Great start by Tennessee. We've seen Kansas City use this with Kelsey. We saw it last week on the jump pass by Henry. They got off to a fast start using their play action and run game.
Titans up 10-0. So for the second straight week, the Chiefs fall behind. And for the second straight week, Patrick Mahomes didn't blink.
This was a great drive in this 4th and 2. Really good job by Kelsey understanding space. And then the goal-to-go situation with Tyreek Hill using the speed sweep against the zero blitz. It's really a race to the front pylon. Hill too fast.
So it's 10-7, but Tennessee, they played just about a perfect first half, and that's Dennis Kelly.
Second big man touchdown for Kelly this season. Everyone's selling out to stop the run. Great play call. 17-7 Titans on the road.
321 pounds. Heaviest player ever to catch a touchdown in the playoffs. Tyreek Hill, not as heavy, but fast.
Man-to-man coverage. Mahomes moves his safety with his eyes, drives it down the seam to Hill.
Absolutely, and so they're back in business, and they're moving, and then their defense starts to figure out Henry.
And it was really a great job by their front, kind of changing the line of scrimmage, and then those linebackers shooting those gaps, playing fast downhill, forcing Henry to play laterally.
Forcing the Titans to punt. And important to note that the Chiefs had plenty of timeouts, so they had all the time in the world to work with on this surgical drive before halftime.
Beautiful job by Kelsey in zone, sitting in, Mahomes finding him. Another job by Mahomes, moving in his pocket, Sammy Watkins on the crosser in between two defenders.
Remember what I said about having the timeouts? It means Mahomes doesn't have to get out of bounds on this play, and he doesn't.
But he gives him the okey doke right there. Hesitate back, and then right there he's going to make a decision. Because those timeouts, I don't have to go out of bounds. He's known to be a physical runner, not. And then the awareness down the sideline, tiptoe, and then to finish, because he can with those timeouts, into the end zone. This play was the biggest play of the game by the best player on the field.
We have to talk about the tackling at some point, or the lack thereof, one way or another in the third quarter. More from Mahomes. He ran for 53 yards in this game.
This hurts your defense so much. It's the right play call. It's executed perfectly. It didn't matter with his feet. And another one. This is decision-making. This is why this kid is such a great player. Hangs in the pocket. No one's there. And the decision to run the football and then the talent on top of it, he's basically indefensible.
Fourth quarterback ever with back-to-back 50-yard rushing games in the playoffs, and then he gives it to Damian Williams. That's a 13-play drive.
Really good job in this third quarter drive into the fourth quarter of running the football, finishing on the blocks, and kind of sealing this win away.
Middle of the fourth quarter, it's still a game, and then it isn't because Sammy Watkins is 60 yards downfield.
And this is another reason why this team is basically impossible to stop. You double Kelsey, you double Hill. Mahomes moves in the pocket on purpose and throws an absolute bomb to Watkins.
Last chance for Tannehill. It was probably over anyway, but it certainly is here as he can't stay up. Frank Clark gets the sack, and that's all she wrote. The celebration is on in the biggest of ways. The defense for Kansas City came on. Andy Reid is on his way back to the Super Bowl for the first time in 15 years. Everything is up to date in Kansas City.
Get back here after losing in overtime to the Patriots. Took a special kind of determination, didn't it?
Oh yeah, sick to your stomach type of determination. Never let it happen again type of determination. That's what this team did. We rallied behind the guys that were here before. The guys that were new jumped on board, amped it up even more. And sure enough, we're right here, baby. We ready, baby.
We fell short last year, and we learned from it. And we built every single day. And now we have the chance to go to Miami and get the ultimate goal, which is Super Bowl.
All right. Where's the trophy? Man. Fired up to go to Miami. Need to get on a diet so I can fit in my clothes so we can go do our thing.
15 years ago, he took the Eagles to the Super Bowl. Here he is back after all these years. So, McAfee, I want to start with you because you've been here with us every Monday all through this football season. And I feel like there were quite a few Mondays that we sat here and talked about how Kansas City just doesn't seem right. They just don't look right. That defense isn't nearly good enough. Mahomes and the offense don't seem to be what they were a year ago. How did they get from there to where they are right now?
I think that bye week was a key turnaround for this Kansas City Chiefs team. It's almost like Andy Reid went to the dry erase board like a beautiful mind and started drawing up brand new plays for Patrick Mahomes and get them inspired. I think the dislocated patella before then kind of slowed him down. That gave him a chance to rest it. And now Patrick Mahomes is just an alien. That's all he is. This guy is an absolute alien. Whenever he starts for the Kansas City Chiefs, they average 33 points a game. That is the most in the history of professional football. He does all the right things, too. He has the moxie where he's willing and ready to get the crowd into it. He can drop it into a bucket. He can make every throw. He has all the weapons, but he's also smart. He throws it away when he has to. He takes what the defense gives him, and then he has, obviously, that magical ability to make plays whenever you need it. I just think Patrick Mahomes right now is at another level, and I have no clue how the Niners are going to stop him, but Patty Mahomes has everything you could possibly need to be the greatest quarterback of all time.
Marcus McAfee is
All
saying
time.
Okay, so is he the best player in any sport right now?
No.
Whoa.
Get out of here. Who would you rather have in any sport right now than Patrick Mahomes?
Virat Kohli, cricket player?
Give me
LeBron
Giannis.
James.
Give me Giannis.
LeBron James. I would.
Let's not get completely sidetracked into that quite yet. From him yesterday, thoughts?
Just special. Like, listen, first of all, it's a reverberation of the conversation we had about Aaron Rodgers a few years ago when we were talking about this dude is arguably the best we've ever seen. Some people even said he was the best we ever seen. We did not expect another quarterback to come and give us more than what we thought we would get from Aaron Rodgers. Here's the thing about Patrick Mahomes, too. Patrick Mahomes is playing with house money. Like, think about it. When the pressure on Patrick Mahomes is nothing like all of the guys we talked about that needed to make a run at the Super Bowl, or they didn't have this and didn't have that. When you look at this Kansas City Chiefs team, they're young. They have two guys that I believe is the fastest duo in NFL history between Mecole Hardman and Tyreek Hill. So when you look at what Patrick Mahomes is doing, I love that he's getting the credit he deserves, and rightfully so. These dudes around him, though, I think sometimes we forget of what he has at his disposal with his type of talent.
And he inherited a good football team, right? Alex Smith was there before they brought him in. So it's not like he was a guy that got picked in the first round and went to a bad team.
Right.
Now, this is the best team that he's ever going to have. This is the most talent that he's ever going to have, because once he gets that $40 million, he's going to start losing pieces. We watched it happen with Joe Flacco. So this is the moment in history in where he has to say, you know what, I have to take advantage of the opportunity, because sometimes you take for granted. I'm sure Dan Marino took for granted that he was going to be here over and over again. The difference is the field is still wide open. You still have Deshaun Watson. You still have Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be like they're the best team and going to have the most talent for years to come. But right now, they're within that window. And I feel that heat coming right here, man.
Did you just put Patrick Mahomes and Joe Flacco in the same sentence?
No, what I'm saying is Joe Flacco was cheap. He won a championship. He got paid the big money, like Mahomes about to get $40 million. You lost Anquan Bolden. You started to lose those supporting pieces. We haven't seen Mahomes do it without a loaded roster. Tell me one player that you would take off of this Kansas City team and say, give me this player. They have elite players, position players at every position.
Debate.
We've seen Russell Wilson carry teams until Mahomes carries a guy that I've never heard of and make that guy a superstar like Brady did with Givens and some of those complimentary pieces. Then I'll give him the credit he deserves. But right now, we're prisoners of the moment.
All right, that's okay though. First of all, he is the best player at any sport, any sport
this year
in the world right now. Number two, yes, he's got good players around him, but to Pat's point, they're breaking an NFL record for points per game. So it's not like they're scoring 22 a game. They're doing it the best. I'll say this, if he stays healthy, he will be in the conversation for the greatest quarterback to ever play. And right now, he's the most unexplainable quarterback I've ever seen. I try to find ways to explain quarterback play.
That's disrespectful.
It's the most unexplainable stuff where the talent matches the brain and the performance.
If Deshaun Watson was on that team,
be really good.
If Russell Wilson was on that team, if Aaron Rodgers was on that team, we'll be saying the same thing. It'd be the same thing statistically. It's when scheme and talent matches up.
But we said the same thing about Aaron Rodgers.
No,
this is my point.
No, we didn't, Marcus.
When Aaron Rodgers was rolling,
he's the baddest man on the planet.
He is the best player we've ever seen.
Right.
That's what we were saying. I'm not making this up.
What I'm saying is he's the most unexplainable player at that position we've ever seen.
Bro, we talked about Aaron Rodgers' ability to throw. We talked about his arm strength, his brain. We talked about he's under, like all it. Listen, this is not to knock Pat Mahomes.
Sure sounds like it. Sure sounds like it, Swagoo.
It's unbelievable. Right. But I will tell you this. After Aaron Rodgers went, and won a Super Bowl, where has he been since?
Well, he hasn't been back.
But that's what Bart is saying. I'm not. Look, I don't totally agree with Bart that Patrick Mahomes
98%
will be. But what I will say is we've had this conversation before about a guy. Like we've talked about 12 in the same vein we're talking about Pat Mahomes.
And we weren't wrong. Aaron Rodgers is going to retire as one of the 10 greatest quarterbacks of all time. Patrick Mahomes is off to that kind of start. Both of you can be right at the same time.
Yeah, that's my point.
Because was he drafted into the perfect storm of circumstances? Yes. Is he 23 years old? Yeah. Let's not forget that. He is that also. Here's the other piece of this, though. When Aaron Rodgers was playing, certainly when you guys were playing defense, they were playing a different sport. Can you show me that touchdown run again? And someone explain to me what some of the defenders are doing on this play, particularly at the end of this play. Watch number 37, Amani Hooker. No, wait a minute. Watch 37, Amani Hooker come in from the side.
Circle button.
What is he doing? I mean, Swagoo and Bart, I want to hear from my defensive guys. Yeah. And when you played, someone would have made Patrick Mahomes pay a significant price for that run.
We should call it the cost of doing business. I had an account that was set aside for moments just like this because you lose the battle, but you win the war. Because if you're able to give him a world-class shot, land him on that shoulder, then he's compromised for the rest of the game. It gives your team a greater ability to win the game. This is now the new school where guys are afraid to take shots, especially on Golden Boy. You saw Ryan Tannehill took a world-class shot. That's because you might not even get a flag for hitting him illegally.
We could be mad at 37 for that, but this is what has been created. That play is a byproduct of dudes getting fined, kicked out of games, all this talk about concussions and all of that.
Targeting.
That's the product of this. Is it right or wrong or indifferent? This is a different league we play in. First of all, if a quarterback gives the notion that he's going out of bounds, every defender slows up.
Yep.
That's just like when we played, dude, you better be out of bounds. The coaches used to tell their quarterbacks, you better get out of bounds and you better make sure you're out of bounds.
Pat White went and picked up a baseball after getting hit on the sideline.
This is a defender with the opportunity to take a shot. And literally in his mind, he's saying, if I get this wrong, or if I hit this dude wrong, I'm not going to be in this game and I'm going to serve a healthy fight. It'll be a FedEx package in my pocket.
And who cares about half the distance? Half the distance because he's falling on the three is only another yard. Take that shot.
It's a process of what the league is now.
Can I put an end to the Mahomes conversation right now? Since they went down 24-0 to Houston last week, they've scored on 13 of 17 possessions. That is unheard. In the playoffs, 40% of your possessions scoring on would be good. They've scored 13 of 17. It's unheard of. He's the best player on the planet.
And 12 of those are touchdowns, only one field goal.
He's the best player in the
And if you look in the second quarter, if you look in the second quarter, if you look in the, hold on,
I'd say history.
If you look in the second quarter, they've had 6 drives that have 6 touchdowns, right? In the second quarter, 6 drives, 6 touchdowns in the last 2 games. That changes the game immensely for the opposition because at halftime, now they have to have a full conversation, a full panic conversation like, okay, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes have gotten hot here in the second quarter. What do we need to do now? And for the Titans, what they decided was, all right, Derrick Henry's done. Let's not do anything with Derrick Henry that we've done this entire year because we just watched him do what he did in the first game of the playoffs, which is get hot in the second quarter and absolutely demolish him. It's like back when the Warriors were playing good basketball, and in the third quarter, they would come out and just dump on every single team. That's what the Chiefs have done in the second quarter. Now, granted, you can say they've started slow, but they've made up for it in the second quarter, both of these games, and what it's done is turned the other team into something they're not, and that's what they did to the Titans yesterday.
The Chiefs force you to panic, and every coach will tell you we can't panic, but you have no choice but to panic.
Everybody has a plan until when?
You play Patrick Mahomes.
Or you get punched in the face. That's the actual. I mean, that's Mike
cliches are all over the place.
Let's move on from those. Let's talk about Andy Reid a little bit.
That's what the show is.
Cliche. No, it's not. Because he's a guy that I think some people, Dan, had said he can't win these big games, or maybe hasn't coached as well in those opportunities. You liked what he did in the third quarter in this one.
I expected them to come out in the third quarter and just go pass, and try to throw the haymaker and end the game there. But Andy Reid became everything that people said he wasn't. And that was the run game coach, the understanding that they needed to kind of milk that clock away and realizing that Tennessee was allocating so many people to the pass game and they were going to commit so many extra defenders to stopping all the weapons that they have that Andy Reid went on this long, meticulous drive where they just bled the clock, converted third downs, ran the football, and all of a sudden they out-Tennesseed Tennessee. And this is a different Andy Reid because everybody knows Andy Reid becomes this pass-happy coach. Now, granted, some of these plays are Patrick Mahomes moving the chains with his feet, but it was also a deliberate act by Andy Reid, a deliberate play called by Andy Reid to go, we're going to run the football a little bit in the third quarter, and our knockout punch is going to be through the ground, not through the air.
This is a new Andy Reid.
Well, you got to give a lot of credit to Eric Bieniemy as well, keeping him leveled and ground, understanding that they were facing six-man boxes. Six-man boxes, you have to run the football. That's what the defense dictates to you. They took exactly what they gave him, and Mahomes, I think, showed him something when he used his feet when they were going. I know Marcus loves the three-man pass rush. That's one of his most favorite things to do. Be a big man getting doubled for 4 and a half seconds.
Oklahoma kept rushing. Oklahoma kept rushing Joe Burrow with three-man rush, and everybody was telling me, well, you need guys in coverage. Hell no, you don't. You lose in that way too. Put some pressure on the guy. I'm looking at the game and I'm thinking to myself, okay, we're gonna rush 3 and we're gonna spy Pat Mahomes. Speed up the operation. That's the age I come from in football. Yeah. If you got a dynamic guy playing a quarterback position, we are going to die by him making plays fast. Right. We ain't going to give him time to sit back there, survey the field. And, oh, by the way, you got 2 dudes on that offense that runs 4-2. Eventually, they going to uncover. Somebody going to lose their guy. Sammy Watkins ain't slow either. So when we start having this conversation about the San Francisco 49ers and we push it forward, man, look, if I see another damn 3-man rush against quarterbacks that can throw and kill you while you sitting back there in zone, the defense coordinator need to be fired right after the game.
I do want to say one other thing about Andy Reid, because to me it isn't about the small picture with him, it's about the big picture. This Super Bowl is not going to define the legacy of Patrick Mahomes. He has a lot of time left. This is much more about Andy Reid. Andy Reid has been one of the great coaches in the NFL for a long time, his play calling, etc. But he is known, in fairness, and everyone loves him, but he is known for losing a lot more big games than winning. 15 years ago was the last time and only time he coached a team to a Super Bowl. And if you remember the way that ended, clock management, et cetera, it did not go well. The most important legacy piece of Super Bowl 54, without question, will be about the coach of the Kansas City Chiefs.
I think Andy Reid is a new man. And I think everybody wanted to say he was the old Andy Reid last week when they went down 24-0. And even this week, whenever they went down early, it's like, oh, this is when the Andy Reid factors in. But if you remember in Philadelphia, when you're talking about 15 years ago, that was a 24-year Super Bowl appearance drought that the Eagles, that he busted. Now, here's a 50-year Super Bowl appearance drought that he's doing for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think this is his best team he's ever had, including Hembo, I'm sorry to say this, the 04 Eagles team that he had. I think this is his best team. I think he has a quarterback, and I do think that Bieniemy thing that you brought up is a massive thing. I think he has a good balance act there with Steve Spagnuolo, Bieniemy, and Andy Reid. But I think Andy Reid has almost been a victim of circumstance a couple different times. Now, granted, a couple of his situation and decision-making might have been a problem. But in my particular eyes, they should have been in the Super Bowl last year if Dee Ford is 6 inches back, and they probably win that against that Rams team the way they were playing. And this year, they look like they're going to be the favorite to win it this year. I think this is Andy Reid's staple moment, and I think the Andy Reid talk needs to end because the guy can flat-out coach.
It only ends if he finishes the deal, because he's going to be the favorite, and also he's the most veteran coach. We saw what Bill Belichick did to Sean McVay. So you mean you're going to lose to a rookie coach? You couldn't lose to Vrabel. So if you're going to win, this is the opportunity to win, to change the narrative. If not, it's going to be the same old story. He's a guy that got you to the dance but can never go home with the girl.
No one is questioning whether he is a great coach. But I think it does put him in a different category if he wins a Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
There's no question.
Yeah, he goes into the conversation of, man, one of the better coaches to ever pass through the NFL if he wins this Super Bowl.
He goes up with Sean Payton. He gets up to Sean Payton level. He's not up there with the elite, but it puts him up there with the league of very good.
And they may be just getting started. I mean, the reality is, Bart, you're not wrong. They're going to pay the quarterback a lot of money, and they may lose some pieces as a result. But we could be seeing the beginning. Not the middle, but the very beginning is something awfully special with Reid and Kansas.
100%. Listen, we all know, we've been covering this league long enough to know if you got a quarterback, that's where you start, right? And they have arguably the best one and potentially could be the best ever. With that being said, this Super Bowl is everything, G. I'm with you 100%. Andy Reid needs to win this game. Yeah. Like, win it. And then we can start talking about, well, what are you going to do after you pay Pat Mahomes? How are the Kansas City Chiefs going to approach the future? But this is your window. And people, listen, this is the Super Bowl. It's hard to get to. Like, it's hard to get to. So when you get there, you want to take care of business, especially when you go in perceivably as the better team. San Francisco got something something else to say about that.
Yep, our friends at Caesars think that the Kansas City Chiefs are the better team. They're a 1.5-point favorite as we speak. Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers overwhelmed by the San Francisco defense yesterday. Will the Green Bay legend ever get back to a championship game, or was this his best chance? McAfee has thoughts. And Tom Brady went to the fight Saturday night and set the internet on fire. Was a picture a glimpse into his future, or was it just a picture? That discussion and more on the way. Get up on ESPN.